So the way the system works then is it records everything. So it records everything that's on the screen, records our conversation, and that's so you can go away and you've got a copy of everything that's kind of been said.
Okay,
right?
brilliant.
So I'll show you a video. We'll talk about the various issues that we kind of see. I'll also bring up videos of elites and what it should look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And copies of various drills and things.
Okay.
At the end of the analysis, I shall, or before the end of the session, I'll give you some links to, I'll send you an email with links to SwimSmooth app, and 28 days access to the SwimSmooth app, the new app, with links to all the relevant drills and things for you, and a training program as well. You're probably kind of the vast majority of the way through yours now with outdoor a few weeks away, but it's something that you can use in the future. So that's what you kind of get. So just start off with then. You said you're training for Outlaw.
Yes.
Outlaw's 3
weeks, yeah.
3 weeks away. So you're obviously doing fairly long swims at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, I've just sort of started toning them down again. I did 2.8 this morning. I ain't going to get much more than that now.
Open water or?
No, it was in the pool down at Bath Uni.
Yeah, okay. And you said you were kind of that kind of 108-ish pace thereabouts?
Yeah, I've only ever done the full distance swim.
Yeah.
Open water, and it was 108 then.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been a little bit inaccurate. It was on my watch, so.
Yeah, okay. So it's a reasonable standard then. So
I was surprised actually. I was hoping for knocking in about 2 minutes per 100 for that distance, which is giving me 1:16, which is kind of what I've based everything. My timing's around 1:15. Yeah. So I think I can be a little bit quicker than that. But then to do it in 1:08, I was very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned that you're swimming faster in a wetsuit.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why that might be?
Body position, I can think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the thing that you think is your biggest issue in the water? Are you aware of what it might be?
I'm aware of a few, really. I'm not. My left arm pull is a lot weaker.
Yeah.
Because I tend to swim off to the right all the time. My kick's not great, but my propulsion, I don't know how it is in my balancing. I feel like my legs are a little bit low. And the breathing I've always struggled with. I never used to breathe on my right hand side. I've trialled with it before, but I've never really been able to swim at any pace with bilateral breathing. Yeah. I've always had to sort of revert back to just on my left side. But since I've started again early this year, I've really concentrated on. I actually use. I think I kicked into it right at the end. I do 3 strokes one side, 3 strokes breathe this way, 3 this way, and then 2. So I sort of it's like a, I don't know what you call it. It's like bilateral, but with an extra one to the left.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
And I find that a bit more comfortable. Like I can get a bit more air.
Okay.
And also my head position, which I've found literally over the last couple of weeks, my head position has been wrong, and that's why I've been struggling to breathe. Because I think I come up forward slightly.
Yeah.
That's what you're here for. That's why I come to see you.
It's always interesting to know what people, because people's perceptions of what they're actually doing is very often very different to what's actually happening in the water.
Yeah, sure.
The fact that you mentioned about the wetsuit and swimming better in the wetsuit and having kind of heavy legs, as you described it earlier, it's a standard, common thing, and it kind of starts to point us towards one of a few things that we start to look at. And when we look at stroke correction, there's almost like a hierarchy, and there's an order of things that they need to be fixed in. Yeah. And the first thing we look at is breathing, and whether or not you're holding your breath. Do you think you hold your breath?
Possibly. I don't think I do.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll run it through. All these things have a tendency: holding your breath, lifting your head, having a higher head position, looking too far forward, have a tendency to lift your upper body up, which makes your legs sink. Yeah. Okay. And that's the thing we're going to have to try and sort out in the main today, is getting the legs up. Okay. So that's going to be your biggest winner, and that's without even looking at the footage. But we'll play it through and see what we come up with. So from this side angle, then, what I'm looking for is your arm recovery over the water, to see if we've got any major issues there. And that looks reasonably good. We've got a nice high elbow there, reasonable amount of clearance over the top of the water, which is good for open water swimming.
Yeah.
Some more kind of pool-based swimmers might be a little bit more kind of draggy. They almost drag their fingertips across the surface, but you're nice and high there, which is good. I'm keeping an eye on the head position. Have you seen much of the Swim Smooth videos and all that sort of stuff?
I've got the book.
Okay.
Just look at that.
So what I'm looking at here is what happens to the head. You can see the bow wave forming around the front of the head here.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about not being particularly happy to breathe on the which side is it?
Right side.
Right hand side. Yeah. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But the bow wave normally if the bow wave is correctly in place, we'll talk about how we get it correctly in place in a second, is it creates a little channel for you to breathe into. So if your head's not in the right position, don't get the bow wave, which means you have to lift your head higher.
Yeah. I find if, say, if I'm in a busy pool and you've got some club swimmers swimming next to me who are creating quite a bit of a wake, and I occasionally I'll get a right gobful of water because I feel like I'm coming up. Like I say, I've been trying to concentrate on looking a little bit further down towards the bottom of the pool, and I believe it has. It's definitely assisted. I think, like you say, it's when you get tired and you forget.
Yeah. Okay, so your head position is quite nice at the moment.
Right.
You have quite a nice, smooth, relaxed rhythm to your stroke. Some people are very splashy and aggressive and a lot of kind of movement in the water, whereas yours is quite smooth, it's quite rhythmical, which is nice. Haven't seen you take a breath yet.
No, I don't think I did for a little bit to begin with.
So you breathe on the other side. I'll wait until you breathe on this side and then... There we go, that's what we're looking for. Okay. I'm starting to move the camera there. So first of all, what we can see here is we can see we're lifting our head up quite a long way.
Yeah.
So our head is coming up kind of in that direction here.
Yeah.
Whereas what we should be seeing is... let's have a look at that here. More like... So this is the bow wave I was talking about. You can just see it forming around the head here.
Yeah.
So if you keep your head still, that bow wave stays there. And it creates a little trough behind it, which means you can breathe into it without having to lift your head up, right? Because you lifted your head up, the bow wave's gone, which means you have to lift your head up.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So keeping your head low, and also you can see how he's got one goggle in the water, one goggle out. That's how low your head should be.
Right.
All right. So it's a case of just really a lot of it is just focusing and having awareness of it and practicing keeping your head down, and that will make create this kind of bow wave at the front of the head here, which will then allow you to keep your head down. It's kind of self-fulfilling almost, you know. So that's what we kind of want to be looking for. That's the first thing. Okay, we're going to go into the water here. Now, the thing that's kind of been the theme since we started talking really is heavy legs, swim first in a wetsuit, and it's all things which kind of leads us to think, well, your biggest issue really here is your body position in the water.
Yeah.
That's all creating drag, all this surface area here.
Yeah.
Ideally, we want to get you up towards the surface. All right. So we need to look at what's causing this. All right. Now, again, in swim correction, there's causes and there's symptoms. The low legs and the low body position is a symptom.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the cause here.
Okay.
One of the causes is lifting the head up. So we'll have a look at this in a second. So there we go. We're starting to think about taking a breath here. And as you can see already, what you're doing is you're looking forward. Your head is upright. And that presents this big frontal area to the water here. Mm-hmm. So the chest. So you imagine if you were flatter in the water. If we show you... if I go too fast, just tell me, because I have a tendency to just kind of rattle on.
No, I understand.
If If we show you someone like Rebecca Adlington, then just take it back a little bit. You look at her body position in the water.
Yeah.
She's completely parallel with the surface of the water. Okay. She's actually looking further forward. She's actually looking quite a long way forward, so she's looking at this kind of angle here. Some people can afford to do that, depending on the natural buoyancy of their body position. So some people can get away with doing that a little bit more. If she was to look too far down, then she might end up actually kicking out the water, which she doesn't want to do that. So that's the ideal body position we're looking for. So your whole body is travelling through a tube, through a tunnel almost. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Excuse me, this thing does have a tendency to nudge around. Technology. Okay, so head position, you have to play around with the head position, keeping the head nice and low. And have a look at the breathing. Now, in fact, now we'll look at this the way back. You take a breath, and what you should do as soon as you turn, so you take a breath, and as soon as you turn your head back into the water and you start your catch, you should be breathing out straight away. Because otherwise, all you're doing is keeping all that air in your lungs. It's all building up in here, which again lifts the front end of the chest, which again drops the legs down. So these are two things now which are causing this to happen. So you've taken a breath there. Let's have a look at you on the way back. Because there. Okay, let's just play it through. I keep on saying there, I'm not telling you what I'm looking at. But so you've taken a breath there. The moment, you've got a little tiny trickle coming out of your mouth there. The moment your lungs are full of air, pulling your chest up. Little trickle, little trickle. Now you are breathing out a little bit, but I think because you're starting to think about breathing now, I'll wait until you breathe on this side, I'll show you what I mean. Just as you're about to turn to breathe, you watch your mouth now. Bang. So you're breathing out.
Yeah.
It's kind of 75 or 80% of it at the last minute.
At the very end.
Yeah. So it's going to be important for us to get you to learn how to fully exhale all the time. Again, it will get you like that in the water.
Right.
All right. You might think it's a fairly minor point, but it all starts with the head position and the breathing, and everything else kind of follows on from there.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned your catch and things like that before.
Yes.
Now, the catch is the propulsion kind of side of the stroke. What most people have a problem with is the kind of the drag side of the stroke. So for you, it's more about reducing down the amount of drag is number one.
Yeah.
And then the propulsion side of it is the kind of almost the next step for you. All right. So they're the two main things that we've seen so far. Then a little bit of breath holding, a little bit of a high head position, particularly when you're breathing. Okay. Now, in terms of your legs, I actually think your legs are all right. You know, you haven't got the amazing kind of power kick, but we don't want that, as I explained to you before. For us, it's more about balance and rhythm.
Yep.
The kick. You know, your toes are nice and pointed. You've got a decent amount of flexion in your ankles. What was the ankle problem you said you had? Did you say
it was my foot. I have got. I tore the ligaments here playing football years ago, but it was the place of my foot that I had a problem with.
Okay, so not so much the ankle, so it didn't damage the flexibility in your ankle at all.
No, that way's fine. I can't. I've got limited movement that way with it. Just the right one. Okay,
all right. We don't need to worry about the kicking too much at this stage.
Okay.
I can show you some kicking drills, which you can kind of add on to the rest of your kind of training, just to fine-tune your kick, but nothing major to worry about there. Okay. So I'm still looking for things which are causing the legs to drop. Something else we can get our teeth stuck into. Now this is always quite a telling angle from above.
Mm-hmm.
Now what you do have, which is nice, is you don't have a huge crossover. A lot of age group swimmers, terrible crossover, causes their legs to scissor kick because your legs balance up what your arms are doing. Yours is actually pretty good. You're actually reasonably straight. You do push out wide with your stroke, and we'll have a look at that in a second. So rotating. So your hand is spearing in, and your hand should stay in front of your shoulder line. And again, just so as you've got something to compare it with, John Van Hazel. This guy's an Olympic swimmer. This is the guy that Mr. Smooth is modelled on. You've probably seen him before.
Yeah. He's in, well, I've seen him in the books.
Yeah. Let's try and find an overhead shot. There we go. So he spears in, arm stays in front of the shoulder. And you can see he's starting his catch, and his arm will come through beneath his shoulder and pull right way back. Recovering arm comes in straight and stays straight. So yours is nice and straight there. And you're pulling through. You've got a wide, so you're more of a kind of a swinger stroke.
Yeah.
So you might be a swinger. You might be the kind of swimmer who bangs hands with people every now and again, and you know, hits the side of the pool.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's standard. It's standard, and there's nothing wrong with that. What we're more interested in is what happens once the hand enters the water, and how effective your catch and pull through is. All right, so your legs are staying reasonably close together. You haven't got a massive scissor kick, which is good. You've got a lot of good things about your stroke. It's just a little bit of adjustment that we need to get stuck into. A little bit of catch up at the front end there, which tells me there's a bit of a timing issue with your breathing. So we can have a look at that. Okay, so get a little bit of a leg split there, and that's because you've got a bit of a straight arm pull through, which we'll have a look in a second. Recovering hand comes over the top, stays reasonably straight. That's fine. That's okay. We don't need to worry about that too much. Right, let's have a look under the water. Okay, right. So this is something we can get stuck into here. And this is probably something you'll quite like, because this is a propulsion bit. This is a bit that drag will help you. Less drag will help you go faster, but this is propulsion is definitely going to help you go faster. So you're pulling through very much from the shoulder. I don't know if you have any shoulder pains or shoulder aches or anything like that. Yeah, which any particular side or?
Both.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do a quick demonstration with you in a minute. Explain why that is. So, in terms of pulling through, you can see how straight your arm is there.
Yes.
So, what you're doing there in fact, I'll show you now actually. So, stand up for me. If you pull through straight, put your arm out straight. Push down. Okay. Where do you feel the pressure when you're doing it that way? Where do you think? Okay. Push down reasonably hard. Push down reasonably hard. Okay, that's fine. Just kind of, I want you to try and kind of imagine how much effort you're putting in there. So push reasonably hard. Okay, that's quite a straight arm. Right. Now, if you were to rotate more, get the elbow up high. Now push down as hard as you can. Yeah. So what happens is you go from, stand square around again, you go from using shoulders to pull through. It's all coming from here. Where in actual fact, what you should be doing is using chest and lats. Okay. So if you use a similar amount of power and now push back out, kind of drive the hand back, you can put much more power through that, and it starts to come from the chest and from the lats instead. All right. So what you get is you get a lot of people who pull through straight, is they have a lot of shoulder issues here, because these are weaker muscles, and that's why you don't need a lot of strength to generate power in swimming, which is why you can get 11-year-old girls who can fly through the pool. It's more obviously technique and using the correct muscles, the correct kind of timings and things. So what we're doing here is you're pulling through too straight. Yeah. So it's really a case of getting that elbow up higher I'll show you Rebecca Adlington again. To show you, it's always good to know what it should look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take one which is not breathing. That's fine. Okay, so that's what we should be looking at. So we should be looking at, it's kind of 100 to 120 degrees. So this is about 105 there. And the arm actually, the hand pulls through beneath the shoulder. Oops, so the hand is beneath the shoulder,
right, yeah.
And that's what gives you the leverage. So rather than pulling out, you're at 150 degrees, and you're pulling out wide. It does come in a little bit closer as you rotate through, but you kind of almost gone past the point of most kind of purchase on the water there. So a little bit straight. And then what we're doing on this side is we are pushing down. You're pushing down, okay?
Yeah.
So rather than, if we look at Rebecca here, oops. You watch her, she tips her fingertips forward, and then she's immediately using all that hand and surface area of the forearm to push back. So the fingertips drop, and then she's got this whacking great big paddle to push back with. Yeah. So if we play yours through, down, 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 down. And it's not until it gets down to that point where we're actually starting to get in forward propulsion. So of course what pushing down does is lifts the front end up again. So it's something else which lifts the front end up. Right? These are all related to the same kind of thing. Yeah, so you push down and then you kind of whip it back at the... So there's not much of a catch on that side. So you've got a weaker catch on your left-hand side and a stronger catch on your right, which means you probably swing round to the... You swing off to the right-hand side. Yeah. A lot of these things are born out of breathing on one side, so just being imbalanced.
Yes.
So it's a case of retraining over time to get even. And if you've read the Swim Smooth stuff, you'll know that they're kind of big fans of getting bilateral breathing and everything being nice and uniform and all that kind of stuff. Don't need to worry about it too much, but it's certainly an important thing to work on. And you can see it there, look. That big lever pushing down.
Yeah.
And there's that. I mean, it's 180 degrees. There's no point measuring that. And there's the kind of little bit of the timing. Just want to kind of catch up. Can't really see it very well from this angle. Okay, so what we're going to look at then. Are you with me so far?
I'll follow it all. Yeah.
Okay, good. So what we're going to look at then. Do you swim with a squad or with a club or anything like that? Do you just do drills by yourself? Do you? Yeah. What drills do you do?
Do quite a bit of sculling, fists, swimming on the side, 616.
Okay.
That's about it, really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, those drills are great. The trouble with drills is you've got to do them right, because otherwise you could spend all your time doing it wrong and you train yourself to do it incorrectly, which is probably even worse, isn't it? And that's the beauty of one of these sessions. I've got a microphone thing so I can speak to you while you're swimming. Right. Get your shoulder blades back, get your arms up, so you know what it feels like to be in the correct position. So I'm going to go through what the drills we're going to cover. Okay. So first of all, I don't know if you've ever done sink downs before.
Yeah, I'm not very good at them.
Yeah, well, that's why. Yeah, that's exactly why. And these are the kind. This is one of the drills where people do that in a public pool by themselves, look like a bit of a muppet. It is worth trying every now and again. If you can get
I do it actually, but I struggle because I just come straight back up.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of breathing out to get down.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is obviously from what you've shown me makes sense.
Yeah, but there's no point avoiding it.
Oh.
You know, it's got to be. We've got to kind of persevere with it. So we'll do some work through on the sink downs. Won't spend a huge amount of time on it. But yeah, I mean, you know why it is. It's the practice, expelling all that air out of your lungs. And you should be able to do, sink down, come back up, sink down, come back up, and do it almost as quickly as that once you get practice with it. And know what it feels like to breathe out. There's people hold it in their lungs and they have to really work hard to get it out. So we'll work on that. We'll have a look at that. We'll do some just pop-eye breathing with your fin. Have you got any fins?
Yes.
You have fins, yeah? What fins have you got? Okay. All right. I'll get you something in the longer fins. Right. Okay. They're like kick fins, so they won't give you the amount of control for you to practice on the drill. You still have to kick quite hard with those on. Right. The longer fins, which I'll show you in a second, you can be much more relaxed, and it'll give you the propulsion you need to actually focus on what you're trying to do at the front end of the stroke. Okay. So just do some practice with the fins on, keeping the head down and seeing if you can get this, what we call split vision, one goggle in, one goggle out of the water. Okay. Pop-eye breathing, getting your mouth over. So the bow wave comes down here like this, and that pop-eye over to one side just gives you an extra bit of space to stop you having to go like that. Right. Just a little bit of practice. Just a little bit of practice. So we'll do some work on that. Where are we? We will. Because you're doing. It's always good to do kicking on the side, 6-1-6 and things like that. But I want to see how well you're doing it. Okay. Just make sure that you're holding the correct body position. I'm not too concerned about that because you're not crossing over and you're actually reasonably straight anyway. But just for the sake of a couple of minutes, it'd be worth having a look at you doing that. And what you can also do while you're doing that is hold yourself. While you're holding yourself in the correct position, is turn your head to breathe. Practice keeping your head low, and actually practice breathing out. Constantly breathing out, breathe in, breathe out. So you can practice your breathing drills while you're doing the kicking on the side, and the 6-1-6 and things like that. You can kind of do them all together. So we're also going to have a look at doggy paddle. Oops, I'll put it on there so it's open on there. So you're already extending forward quite nice and straight, but what we really must practice doing is getting this elbow up and getting this 120-degree angle, 100 to 120-degree angle that we're looking for in the catch and pull through. Right. All right. So doing doggy paddle well, will stop you feeling the need to push down so much. All right. So, I mean, obviously the purpose of drills is doing it again and again and again. And you carry a little bit over into your main stroke, and that arm will start to get that elbow up. And again, kicking on the side of 6-1-6 will do that, because what a lot of people do when they do kicking on the side is they're like that, and you can't bend the elbow that way, so your hand's actually not in the correct position. So you should be outwardly rotated and kicking on the side like that, so you can go into the catch. Right, yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So many people do kick on the side like that, and it's the wrong position. You drop in your elbow, and you can't bend your arm that way. It has to be like that. So we'll have a look at that. We'll do some sculling, because again, it's all about getting you used to getting those elbows up nice and high. And then just going back to one I've forgotten is bubble bubble breathe, which again you've probably seen. Easy go. Breathing, position. Yeah, it's not working for some reason. So bubble bubble breathe is basically you're aware of that one. Take a breath and then constantly breathing out into the water. All right, so we'll have a play around with those, and then we'll see where we're at. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, in fact, no, we'll do sink downs first. What size are you? Sue's feet.
9.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not gonna do any more on here for the time being. Okay. Let's get you back in the water. Has there got any questions or anything?
No.
No? With me?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to.
No, I do. I'm quite interested in all the technique of everything, all the sports. So I'd spend a lot of time reading about it. So I do understand where you're going.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Good. All right. Let me just stop.